We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
It is not, generally speaking, unruly, but fires have been started. And
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people.
My honor to introduce to you the 45th and the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
In America, the impossible is what we do best. There is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. We will restore America's promise and we will rebuild the nation that we love. We will stand bravely, dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours. The golden age of America begins right now. America's decline is over. We will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth. I am with you. I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. The golden age of America begins right now.
Right stinking now. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode number 98. Woo, only 2 to go till that number 100. Episode number 98 of Just Our Take. We're really excited to bring this one to you. There's a lot going on, so much that, it's broken record time. Sorry. So much that we were finalizing everything just up until the very last second. But we're glad you're here. We're glad to be here. And Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing great, John. You know, I should have brought the headlines tonight because, to your point, there is a plethora of stuff going on. It's exciting. Some of the stuff you'll never make the news, and of course, the big stories that do make the news, they're meant to help us think about things the right way. Anyways, welcome to Just Our Take. As the title implies, it's our opinion. This is how we think about things. You may disagree. You may not. You may agree. You may disagree. If we got it wrong or you disagree, that's okay. Use the chat. Feel free to educate us or, share your thoughts. But we always appreciate different perspectives. Elle, you're back again. I hope you're comfortable. You look comfortable.
I am. Thank you, David. And everything is fantastic. As you mentioned, there's a lot of good news out there. We had to cherry pick a few stories, but we also have a lot of good information. So I'm looking forward to tonight's show.
So between Elle and Dave, we're going to go 7 nights a week now because there's so much information. Just looking for the looks on their faces. Just kidding. Not going to happen.
Look, I love it. It's fun, like John, there's a question in chat. How's retirement?
I know. I was just going to put that one up. Yeah, Pat. Let me tell you, retirement is still very, 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 very busy. Very busy. That's what I'm going to say to that. So, hey, there is a lot going on, and yeah, we are glad that you're here with us again tonight, Elle. We have some top stories. We're going to talk about the JFK release. We're going to talk a little bit about some of these crazy judges. What on earth are these clowns doing? We're going to go into a little bit about the sudden flip-flop on Elon Musk. Boy, we love him, we hate him, we love him, we hate him. Tesla's good, go get a Tesla or you're a Nazi. If you own a Tesla now you're I said that word, I'm sorry. Sorry, YouTube, I can't say the word. I said pretzel. No, I said pretzel. I didn't say the other word. I said that too. Anyway, so sorry about that. Anybody that could have been offended over there on YouTube, if anyone was watching. Anyway, so let's get started. What do you say we talk a little bit about some of the stuff that came out? First of all, we're going to tell you that there was 1,000 pages dropped from the FBI files of the JFK or CIA files, whoever you want to call them, of the JFK documentation. 1,000 papers out of 80,000 papers. So there's only a tiny, tiny bit, and already people are making hay out of it. This is a post that we found on X. The person says that JFK called Joe Biden a traitor. What they mean to say is JFK Jr. called Joe Biden a traitor, and that is accurate, and we have some documentation to show that. CIA orchestrated the entire assassination. That is not necessarily well documented in these papers. So be careful when you hear people say that. In this first tranche of paperwork, it is not well documented that that's the case. Were they aware? It seems to be clear that they were aware, but it is not that they put it together. Again, in the paperwork that we have today, links to Mossad and Israel, those have been confirmed, but we don't know at what level yet. So be careful when you hear those things. Tie it to the Khazarian mafia. Again, there are some mentions in there. It doesn't mean that that's how it happened. And then Gary Underhill was murdered after revealing it was a CIA operation. And Elle, why don't you take this one?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of information, and I think people were looking for like a silver bullet. But I've been a historian in this subject. I've been very fascinated by all of the conspiracies. So I focused on, if you could put the assassination in the center of a circle, you got to look at the other outside circles. And one document that was very interesting was just before Jack Ruby met Oswald, right? When he was being transferred and he shot him. I think we could say that word, right? I don't know. Anyways, so
pew, pew, pew,
40 minutes before that happened, This is November 24, 1963 at 10:20 a.m. There was a teletype sent from an unnamed FBI source from the Dallas office into the Dallas police office. That it was an urgent teletype, and it had this one liner: subject in custody, comma, expect termination. That was the whole message. So obviously, it's not a silver bullet of, there was this grassy knoll, but that's very telling, right? Because the FBI they control their own systems, right? So how does this FBI teletype that is supposed to follow a certain procedure in that era of having name, office, and all these things, so they can trace it back to what Dallas office it was sent from, but it had no name, and it was sent 40 minutes before Oswald was killed. That to me is eye-opening, right?
Unalived.
It keeps
Unalived.
Unalived.
Right. Unalived.
YouTube
Sorry,
has already
unalived.
called their therapist. And by the way, just in case anyone's like, teletype, what's a teletype? That's like a text message back in the 60s. Keep going, Al.
Right. It's this giant machine, automatic typewriter. So to me, I went in to talk to Grok. That's Elon's AI on X. And you can really ask it to filter different data for you. And for me, this is my take, there's definitely a rush to make a clean official publication of what happened, and then there's a cleanup of a lot of mess. There's there's a lot of siloed information. There was police interviews, there were FBI interviews, and so you could make almost a parallel of two things. Here's what we're going to say happened officially with the stamp, but then there's all these things that they just didn't want to talk about it. It's very interesting. That's my take on it. There's quite a lot more.
In my time in dealing with Intel, I can tell you that that's standard. We would do an op, and then we would see the news on that op, and that was what they wanted to release. Or let's say, for instance, like the shoot down of the Airbus in the Gulf. There was an immediate response for the media, and then there was the response that the officials wanted them to hear. And that's the case. I mean, the flight that went down, that was shot down out of the sky over Florida, immediately it, there were 200 witnesses that saw a white trail going up to the airplane. And then, there was a spark in the overwing fuel tank. Sorry, it's almost impossible for aviation fuel to catch fire from a spark, but hey, people ran with it, and that story went away. But again, that's how they do it. So they come up with the narrative they want.
And John, yep, right. What I find fascinating is you look at the attempted event in Butler, Pennsylvania, against President Trump, and you see parallels. The FBI in the documentation, they knew of Oswald, but in their documents, they say, hey, we knew of him, but he wasn't really on our radar. Well, it's the same thing with the Butler situation, where they knew of this kid, but they didn't think much of it. And there was quite a quick cleanup after the fact. And you can almost see a parallel of super fast of here's two events that are 70 years apart, 80 years apart, and yet the same organizations is the same type of cleanup, right? There's an official, like this kid, he had no utensils in his house. I mean, somebody scrubbed all his social media. Same deal with Oswald. I think that some of the discussions between departments, they were afraid that it would escalate to some international event between Russia and China and all of these communist countries. So there was a lot of movements out of the hip, which I thought were interesting. Why they didn't want to release that? I don't know. This should have been out, in my view, 20 years ago.
Well,
that's my take.
I think you said something early on that I'm kind of grabbing onto, which is we want to get the information out there. You said the words cleanup. I think you were using it differently than the way I'm thinking about it. This is an opportunity for the current administration to say, look, we didn't do this. We didn't create this. We want to run clean agencies. We want to run clean agencies. We want to run a clean organization. We want to be transparent. We want to and look, we're not responsible for what happened in the past. In fact, here, look at what these people have done. We're going to do things differently. And we didn't create this mess. We're going to, do things the right way, and just being transparent, rip that Band-Aid off and clean it up, clean house.
Well, to Marie's point, I don't think we're ever going to have the names of who unalived him. I disagree with that point. I do believe that we will have that, because I think, to the point that we're making right now, there's a different sheriff in town, and I think the sheriff wants transparency. I think more than transparency, I think the sheriff wants healing. This has been one of those questions, along with a lot of other ones. There's a lot of other questions that they've been talking about, and I think that Hegseth has already talked about releasing the Butler situation.
Yep.
There's J6 files coming. I think that in order to heal, we have to be able to say, these people did wrong, and this is how we have to clean it up. I think that there's going to be a lot of information coming out, including this. This was taken from a letter that JFK Jr. had sent. It's to Senator Joseph Biden, and it says, in a handwritten letter, it's printed on the letter dated, what's that, 4/26/64? I can't read it.
94, 8/26/94.
94.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Dear Senator Biden, again, this comes from JFK Jr. Dear Senator Biden, you are a traitor.
How did he know? All the way back in 1994.
Yeah.
It was decades before he got caught. I mean, and then he was unalived in a plane crash just a little while later.
And that
right,
came from
in a month and a half later. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Very, very interesting that. And I think also to your point, John, President Trump, I've been a fan of him way before he ran for office. He was really good friends with JFK Jr. They were both New Yorkers. They ran around the same circles. I believe he had almost like a mentor to him about running that magazine, and he mentioned him before. So, and this was again prior to him running for office. It was known, and of course, he doesn't care for the person he was running against in 2016.
I apologize for turning around. I was looking for a couple of books. I have both of Trump's books on my shelves. I read those back when I first got out of the Navy. But the thing that was interesting, he was absolutely in politics. He wanted to run. He was actually going to run for the Senate seat that, by the way, Hillary Rodham Clinton ended up winning that Senate seat. But JFK Jr. was going to run for that seat.
He was the leading candidate,
and then he became and then he became unalived. And then, oh gosh, let's bring the carpetbagger in.
Now, I have to tell you, about maybe a month ago, there was a video that was promoted on YouTube. So basically, it was probably on YouTube for years, but it was elevated, right? So now all of a sudden it shows up in your feed. And it had to do with JFK Jr.'s demise. And it told the story that he was the one out of control and wanted to, and basically insinuating that he crashed the plane on purpose. But I mean, you got to tell us the narrative. Tell us how to think about it.
Yeah. Roger says this is a distraction from the Epstein files. I don't think so. I think that the Epstein files will come out when it's time. I think that this is a filler while they're getting ready for those Epstein files to come out. I do believe there's going to be a full disclosure. I think that stuff, and Diddy too, I think that all of those things will eventually come out. And, you know, there's going to come a time where we're going to find some things like, let me
Are you
see
going to
if
show that picture that
no,
we're
I
looking
would. Why would
at?
I do
Is
that?
that real? I don't know if it's real.
This one is. This one is absolutely real. The problem is we're not really sure who this is,
Are you
but
playing a video?
nope. We're not really sure who this is. This says the title is Justice Roberts having fun at Epstein's Island. The picture looks like it could be him. We're going to say with full disclosure, we cannot tell if that is him. We can confirm that in the flight logs, and not just in this picture of the flight log, and other pictures of the flight log, there are the names John Roberts listed as a passenger flying to Epstein Island, as well as flying to Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. How many John Roberts are there? I bet there's a lot. So how many John Roberts are there that look like Chief Justice John Roberts? I guess that probably narrows it down just a few.
Fewer.
But
And you
we're
wonder.
We're not saying it is. I'm just making that very clear. We're not saying it is. But the name John Roberts is in the Epstein file list, or Epstein flight logs, and there is a picture of somebody who looks like they could be that person.
Yeah, and you never know, right? There's other pieces of evidence. Today you have to really be careful, right? But there's other things that have come out that make it seem like there's a stronger connection between Justice Roberts and Ghislaine. I know I say her wrong. Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell, and you know, there's other people's quoting other people who have made some comments about their relationship in the past. Who knows if it's true or not? But if it is true, that'd be really bad.
So there have been some pieces that people have come to conclusions. It's not 100%, and I know that we're being really careful here. What we don't want to do is, one, lose credibility, and two, we don't want to be sued. So we're going to be very careful in how we explain what we're posting here. But here is an image and a post that says there's also this. President Nixon was set up and forced to resign by the CIA. It was believed that he was ready to expose the CIA for taking out JFK and possibly divulge the FBI's cover-up in the unaliving. There are pieces in the documentation that would lead you to this conclusion. However, it's not completely spelled out directly. I would expect we would get more of that. I've always felt like the whole Nixon thing was just goofy.
Also,
you know?
what was his crime? Let's do a little flashback.
Well, the crime was spying on the DNC.
He recorded some people, I think.
He spied on the DNC.
So actually, that wasn't what they were going to impeach him for. They were going to impeach him for destroying the tapes of the spying on the DNC.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So destroying
evidence like Liz Cheney did?
Liz Cheney did, or like the Clinton did, or like I mean, there's a long list of people who've destroyed evidence, but Nixon, you know, maybe that was a different era. Yeah. So, you know, we do have to be careful because there are people who are making comments. You know, if you're on Twitter and you got to listen to, this is the wrong one.
Oh yeah, that's the wrong one, David.
He's oftentimes relying on random anonymous accounts, these websites, you know, these users on X who are trying to present themselves as the new CNN, the new New York Times, but have no research behind them, no backing, no institutional knowledge. And I understand that for Musk, that's really appealing. It's exciting on his platform, but he ends up misleading a lot of people. It is striking how he does seem to be learning about lawmaking in real time. And just a moment ago, he tweeted about all the coverage of him in the last 24 hours. You know, there's been all these questions, Dana. Is he the real president-elect? Is he the shadow president? Well, Musk responded on X. He says, the political and legacy media puppets are all echoing the same idea, parroting the same message, trying to drive a wedge between Trump and me. And Musk adds, they will fail.
Just for the record, they did. They parroted the same message, every single one of them. But I just thought it was funny that this guy, you know, formerly of the most trusted news source ever would
By the
call
way,
out.
can we talk about why he got kicked off the show?
Let's talk about it.
We'll just say that he was on
hey, we're a
Zoom
PG
call.
show.
We are. He was Zoom call, and it kind of like the bunch had a little box, and they had gone away to commercial, and when they came back, they caught him doing things that you wouldn't want to do on the air. Well, we'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
So,
Loving himself. We'll leave it at that, right?
Self-love. That's right. Self-love.
Self-love. But he's calling us out for misinformation. And you know what? That's why we're so cautious, because we don't want Brian Stelter, whatever, Brian, to be right if we were to say something we know is knowingly potentially could not be true. So Brian, you'd be proud.
A lot of people speculate on why JFK was unalived. And I'm going to play a video that we had played earlier on a previous show. It was probably, I don't know, maybe over the summer. I think it was actually before the election. And we were talking about how Donald Trump had talked about releasing all of these documents and everything else. So David actually found this out of the archives and brought it to my attention. And so let's go with this one. This is JFK.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
How about that?
And then shortly thereafter, he was not allowed to make that speech a second time.
He made the comment, I am going to dismantle and discard the CIA into 1,000 pieces. And it's not a direct quote
that I read.
It's not a direct quote, but it's pretty close. And that was enough for somebody to say, no, you're not going to let you do that.
Right. No more.
I'm going to say, El, do you have anything else on these?
Our historian.
So far, that's pretty much it. You know, there's I'm trying to look at all of the folks that were around the actual event. Now, regarding the event, I didn't know this, and apparently, you know, the magic bullet. Yes, I actually read some of the documents, and I also watched another presidential historian who talked about it being because of his coat, it didn't penetrate. It ripped the skin, but it didn't go all the way in. So when he leaned forward, the bullet came out, and that's the bullet that they found in the limousine. I thought that was very interesting, because I always wondered, like, where did this bullet come from?
Right.
And to actually read the documents that talk about it and have an expert presidential historian talk about it. And he brought up, obviously there's too many documents and I don't want to bring that up in this call, but he was showing a report. He was showing the schematics of, they did a lot of schematics of where they found the body, how they took them out of there, and then who found what. And so they compared that, right? They compared the photos of the president and his clothes and this bullet, and it made, to me, it made logical sense. And that was very interesting, because people have speculated that somebody in the hospital kind of like snuck it in, and this perfect bullet, and put it on the side of his gurney. But now that we have documents talking more about it without being redacted, it just makes a lot of sense of the things that were going on. Obviously, in '63, we had a lot of siloed departments, but it's kind of a shame in the world of the internet and drones, and everybody's got a phone that can film and take photos. The same mistakes were made in Butler, Pennsylvania, which to me doesn't give me a warm fuzzy. It tells me that maybe those were done on purpose, right? There was some other, there had to be something else. It couldn't be just one person making that call and getting around all these things. You just can't, right? You a logical mind, a common sense person will look at this and go, wait a minute. If you press the gas on a vehicle that's running and you put it in drive, it's going to go forward. And somebody's telling you, no, it's not. Well, I've driven a car for 40 years, and I know when you put it on drive and you hit the gas and it's running, usually it moves forward. So unless I'm missing something, and now I have pictures and drawings that say, Elio put the key in the ignition. Elio turned the key. The engine started to run. He grabbed his hand and put it on drive. So this is what we have now, right? So we have a lot of evidence around the event that definitely question or poke holes to the clean-cut Warren report, right? And so to your point, John, I know you said you worked in this where they try to put in a clean document. You could say the some of us conspiracy theories are looking at this going, yeah, I'm an adult. Give me this information. Now I see it. And now I can say, yeah, there was definitely other people at play.
Yeah. Like I said, 1,000 of 80,000
Jack
pages
Ruby.
There's only 1,000 of 80,000 pages out there, and definitely more to come. I think it's time to make sure that we thank our sponsor, because we've got a couple more stories to hit to. I can guarantee you folks at home, we're going to dig in on the next tranche. We will dig in. We'll find you some more fun facts. If someone else comes up with a fun fact that we haven't seen yet, we will put that out there as well. But it's time to thank the folks over at Steel Rebel Design for sponsoring the Just Our Take show. Kim and Company makes all of our hats, shirts, cups, hoodies, you name it. If it's got the Just Our Take logo on it, they make it. They also make some other fun merchandise for us. Here is the Just Our Take fight shirt. This is the one that both Dave and I wore at the Trump rally in Bozeman, Montana. And here's some good friends of the show that are wearing the fight shirt at I believe that was the Coachella in California. How about that? Trump actually went out to California and had a good time out there. And then here's our old school Just Our Take shirt. Those are all available on the Steel Rebel Design website. Here's another thing that's available there. How about this? A really cool Just Our Take Dark MAGA hat. That's in the puff design. That one's stealth. So you can go into the grocery store or the gym without people getting too freaked out at you. Or if you want to be bold, Just Our Take. Make America Great Again. Sorry, let me do this. There you go. Make America Great Again on gold on snow camo. Or this is actually one of my favorites. It's white on snow camo. Make America Great Again. That was a design from Kim. So Kim and Company over at Steel Rebel Design take really good care of us. And I just want to thank them once again. I don't know why that one's not coming up. There we go. I want to thank them once again for sponsoring the Just Our Take show. If you look down below in the description, you can find a link that'll take you to our merchandise there. And if you don't find it there on the website, go ahead and get a hold of Kim. She'll take good care of you. Use the code Just Our Take when you check out. She'll give you 10% discount. Also, while we're talking about it, do us a favor. Hit the thumbs up in whatever platform you're watching, whether it's YouTube, X, or Rumble. Give us a thumbs up. It helps other people find the show. David, you're going to have to start doing that part. I'm going to write you a script. You're going to
write me a script?
I'm going to write you a script so you can start doing the ad for.
You do such a good job.
I know we're going to have another sponsor here shortly. So.
Okay. So I'll start rehearsing. Look, I wear the merch, by the way.
I know.
Point it out.
We got to get Elle a snow camo hat, I think.
And I got a cool hat for my sister that she actually wears. Just saying.
Cool.
I know.
That's very cool.
Okay. weren't on a call with family members. And I think it took a while for the like, wait, what does that say? So good. All right. We will learn a lot more. Only 1,000 out of 80,000 pages released.
Yep.
And we will learn a lot more and a lot more to come. I am assuming it's going to get juicier from here.
In the meantime, a federal judge has ordered Elon Musk and Trump and Doge to reinstate most of USAID. We want that fraud. We need that fraud.
Need it. My bank account is getting dangerously low. I
need gas in my Lamborghini.
I have to pay people. Come on, people. I need the US aid.
So the comment came up from Katz in the chat here. Please tell me how these judges have more power than the president. So that's a great question. And in fact, today, a judge came out and said that Donald Trump had to reinstate all of the transgenders that he removed, and he has to remove the executive order that says that transgenders cannot serve in the U.S. military. Now, important safety tip here. Elle, you and I both know this. The president of the United States has a rank, and that is commander-in-chief. In the chain of command, there is no higher than the commander-in-chief. And Elle, you were in the military for a number of years. Tell me, where did judges fit in the command chain of command?
They do not.
Wait, what?
They definitely are not part of the military. Yeah.
So much so they have their own court system in the military.
That's crazy. So you're
correct.
saying
that is correct.
The judge can't tell the commander-in-chief who he can and can't have in the military?
It's just like that Judge Bosag or whatever his name was, who told the president to turn the plane around mid-flight and bring it back home. He does not have the authority to do so. And by the way, several people have pointed out what a dangerous and reckless order that was. What if they were 2/3 of the way there without enough fuel to come all the way back? And this judge says, turn them around, bring them back.
What you do is you have to lighten the load of the plane so that the plane can make it back. And I can give you some suggestions on how to do that. But I just want to play this out for a second. I'll be the judge. You sent 235 violent, murdering criminals that were here illegally out of the country. Bring those violent murderers back to this country immediately. Their job is not done yet.
I mean, how do you?
Right.
So now,
and
what
David,
you're hearing is that the argument for them bringing them back has been they didn't have any due process. We did not go through. Yeah. We didn't say for sure, oh, these people are truly bad people. We don't know that for sure. What?
No. Yeah. The laws from 17.
Yeah, these people. So they're right. So David, so their convictions, according to these judges, didn't exist. Right. A lot of these people committed murder. They robbed folks. They mangled several sex offenders there who did unspeakables to young kids. And they were headed not just out of the country. They were headed, and they are now in a maximum security prison in El Salvador. Yeah. They're not sitting around some little hacienda, of Secot. And let me tell you, so to the question, no, there is no judge in any federal court that is in the chain of command. He is the CIC, as we say in the Marine Corps, the commander in chief, and his law is the law of the land in the military. Unlike our civilian world, in the military, in order for the military to work, we don't have democracy. We don't have a bunch of people voting. No, we don't want to go to work today. I don't want to go to war. I want to sleep. Right? Because if you had that type of military, we would lose every fight. Right? People wouldn't go to fight. So you have to have this chain of command. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have the UCMJ. That's the Uniform Code of Military Justice. There are rules. There are laws that we live by, and if there are issues, we can definitely request masks or go to our commanders in our units. And there is a judge advocate. There is a military court system that you can bring up a case if somebody did something wrong and didn't follow a certain rule or certain law. That exists. That's real. But that's not what this federal judge did in some blue state that they found, who apparently his daughter is so awesome. She is on the board of an NGO that has been helping illegals how to circumvent the law. Now, why didn't he recuse himself? I have no idea. Oh, his wife donated $10,000 to the Democrat Party. On top of that, this is the same judge that signed, I believe, 8 out of the 10 FISA extensions that allow our government to spy on President Trump during his first campaign and even after he became president in his first term. So yeah, so this is not a Boy Scout. This is somebody is really bad at their job and they don't know how to hide their stuff. And one thing I do love about this administration and where we are now with having X and having Elon and having this regained freedom of speech, this information is now out there. People can see it, right? You don't have to listen to Elio or John or David. The facts are the facts. We have the paperwork, the receipts that this guy's daughter benefited from USID for this NGO who help illegals circumvent the law. We have this judge with all of his little signatures on all of the FISA warrants. So
let's dig in past the headlines for just a second. Let's dig in past the headlines for just a second here. So you guys have all seen what's going on with these judges. They're out of control, which is why I think Katz came up with the question about why do these judges have more power. Judicial coup. Radical leftist judges wage all-out war against President Trump and the nation. 129 legal challenges filed in 2 months, 64 injunctions his first term. More than all U.S. presidents combined. They are doing what we will all call a judicial coup. We don't need to go anywhere beyond that. But here we're showing Judges Burl Howell and James Boasberg. These people are absolutely insane. Now, why are they doing this? What's the behind the scenes? And by the way, there's about 6 judges that have done all 129 of those actions to try to stop the Trump organization. All of them, every single last one of them, have some form of conflict in their background. Every one of them. Yeah. And they've all been reported on. Just like Elio just said, the daughter and the wife of Boasberg. All of these judges that have been going after him, they all have something in their background that says we should not even be having a discussion around this. We should recuse ourselves, but they're not doing it. The other thing is many of them have received funding, or their families have received funding for NGOs that they're running, and they have received monetary gifts in return for doing that.
Which, by the way, used to be called corruption. Used to be called corrupt. It used to be that people frowned on that.
And the funny thing is that the people are saying, the people meaning the left, they're saying, look, this judge said.
He said, turn the plane around. He said you can't do that.
Trump's lawless.
He said the executive branch can't fire people. They have to hire them all back.
Okay, so let's go back in time for just a second. If you look at this as a chess game, both sides are playing chess. The left is not completely stupid. They're just insane. And so when you play out what their long game has been, we're going to put all of these bogus charges up against Trump so we can say that he is a 34-time indicted, convicted felon. And then when stuff like this happens, he is a rogue convicted felon ignoring the law. He thinks he is the law. And that's when they come back out with their narrative. No one is above the law, because he is going to ignore these unconstitutional radical orders. And then you heard last week, I was trying to find the clip, but last week, or it was over the weekend, I think, Justice John Roberts came out and said, well, the news told you, Justice John Roberts said that he was rebuking Trump. That John Roberts came out in a stern rebuke, a very uncharacteristic stern rebuke of the president. His stern rebuke was something along the lines of, "That's not normally how we do it."
Exactly. That was the quote. That's not normally how these things are done. And that becomes a stern rebuke. The Supreme Court has weighed in on this. No, they haven't.
Yeah, that was the headline. Supreme Court weighs in. No, they didn't.
So we have, President Trump and his administration saying, "Hey, maybe there's an opportunity here for us to look at this further and consider impeaching these judges," right? And of course, the media went ballistic. "Oh, you can't impeach judges." Producer Scott, is there any way you can play number 2 quick hit? I think we have Representative AOC. Well, I'll let her tell you in 30 seconds what she thinks of rogue judges.
This is AOC, you said?
Yeah, number 2 on my list.
Oh, number 2, not that one then. Hold on. Scott's trying to do his job.
Scott, our producer, is having some issues.
Is this the one you wanted right here? This doesn't look like AOC, but maybe it'll play.
Yes, that's AOC. Yeah. Listen to what she says.
Well, I think rulings like this, and I think we've seen from the FDA and also from activity in Congress, that some of these rulings, I think we've been preparing and anticipating for there being these egregious overreaches by members of the judiciary appointed by a right-wing Republican Party whose goal for a very long time was to just pack these courts with partisan judges, often underqualified or completely unqualified for their role. And so there has been thought, I believe, given to this. Senator Ron Wyden has already issued statements, for example, advising what we should do in a situation like this, which I concur, which is that I believe that the Biden administration should ignore this ruling. I think that the courts have the legitimacy and they rely on the legitimacy of their rulings. And what they are currently doing is engaged in an unprecedented and dramatic erosion of the legitimacy of the courts. It is the justices themselves, through the deeply partisan and unfounded nature of these rulings, that are undermining their own enforcement.
So you're saying
that's so good.
Really,
That's
AOC.
so just ignore it.
Really, wow.
She's so smart.
Ignore it. That's what she said. Ignore it. Right.
She said ignore it.
Thank you, Producer Scott. But yeah, she was definitely saying
this radical.
What the current administration is saying, hey, these radical judges, we should be questioning, the legitimacy. I agree with Representative
severely underqualified
AOC on this one.
Say again. So I said they're severely, according to her, severely underqualified. So when they rule in a way that you don't like, they're radical, they're severely underqualified, and you should just ignore them. By the way, I don't know if you remember President Biden saying, "The Supreme Court told me I couldn't do it. I did it anyways."
Yeah, I remember that. That was beautiful. So here's a quick little ditty here. Let's see what they have to say.
Look at the fraud that we've caught. We've caught so much fraud, so much waste, so many employees that never showed up to work. And we have a judge from a very liberal state who ruled like that. So bad for our country.
So I guess they closed the department. They're going to have to reopen
we'll
the department.
Be appealing it, I guess. I guarantee you, we will be appealing it. We have rogue judges that are destroying our country.
There you go.
There you go.
He doesn't mince words, does he?
No, he said, I guess. I'm like, okay, it's not I guess.
No.
We're going to do this. Yeah.
I'm sure that it's already been.
And what I
appealed.
love about his press secretary this morning was just phenomenal, right? Of course, the media was setting her up to say, see, there's this crazy president. He's going to not follow the law. She said, we don't agree with these judges and we'll see them in appeals court. So they are going to fight it in the courts. So she really diffused. You could see all of the sad faces of all of the media around this press conference today, because they were all ready to pounce on her. And she said, you know what? We'll fight it in court.
In court. And, this whole notion, none of these people, we're not at war with these countries. Are we going to declare war so that we can then meet the actual text of the alien, what's it called again? I'm going to get it wrong here, but the Alien Enemies Act. It's not what it says. And then she just goes and she reads it. She's like, point. And yep, we're definitely well within our right to remove these people from our country.
Which, by the way, I loved. I don't remember who it was. One of them said how un-American it was. And by the way, it was brought in by Adams, one of the founders. So un-American of him.
Well,
right?
I mean,
it's called Know Your History. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Also, what? And just because the law is old doesn't mean it's not effective, right?
Well,
Sorry,
the
David,
Constitution's old. We still think that's effective. So, I mean, many of us do.
Well, we do. We do.
I do.
I'm going to switch gears here, if that's okay with you folks. We are starting to see just the lunacy, more lunacy of the left. I remember, I'm old enough to remember when everybody said, you are a horrible communist racist thug if you don't buy a Tesla. And those who bought a Tesla were they're oh my gosh, these guys are great. Look at that. They're saving the world. Well, this is the new world order when it comes to Tesla.
Our fire started.
This was in Las Vegas. It's mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful burning of the Teslas.
Oh my God.
That's one. I know you'll be surprised. I have a couple of these.
No way. More than one.
Yeah. People are just angry about the Tesla thing because, Elon Musk and Doge. So gotta be angry about it. So here's another little fun video. Let's see. Share this tab instead. Go here. Let me go here. Bam. Oh.
What's that? Is that a Tesla? This car.
He's walking up to a Tesla.
Wow.
And he scribbles on the hood, this car supports those guys. Pretzels. He supports pretzels. He did it in a Sharpie.
National Socialist.
Yeah. So how about that one? That one's another. Look at that guy.
I'm so smug with my purse.
I am so American now. I'm just a patriot because I'm a
patriot.
I'm going to deface
wearing a mask.
Of course I'm wearing a mask. I don't want to be seen. I don't want you to figure out who I am. Although, John,
hang on. I'm not done. So you got to save it for this because I got a couple more beautiful things. These are amazing.
I'm glad you're showing this because I didn't see that one. Yeah.
Get this
I've
one?
seen this one. This guy actually.
This guy's in Colorado. He's going to the gym. He decides he's going to take his key and scratch something like pretzel on the side of the car. He got arrested and he got charged for felony vandalism.
What? Did you use the A word? He got arrested.
Lose his job. This guy is either a CP. I know he works for some finance organization. I was reading on him, and I'm like, well, there goes his career.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
Shamed.
There's more.
You use the A word.
I'm sorry.
We found this guy. Yeah. Yeah, he keyed a car and they found him.
Yeah, take that jacket off, by the way. Yeah, I know you're not playing the sound, John. I don't know if
he is being questioned there. There it is.
That's okay. You don't need to see the sound. You can see exactly what happened. I think I'm going to go key this car right here. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Nobody could see me, right?
Nobody can see me. There's no cameras or anything anywhere. I'm looking around, I was very careful before I keyed this car. Oh, no one can even tell what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and this is the man who found him confronting him.
You know, and the younger me was a little bit of a hothead. Like, it wouldn't have just ended with me videotaping him and calling the police. It would have ended really differently. That's the younger version of me. People are so calm nowadays. I'm shocked.
All right. You have to.
Your sound didn't play, but I think it's okay,
Yeah,
John.
no, I want you to hear the sound on that one. I apologize. So sometimes when, and this is one of those trouble reports we have to put in for StreamYard, but sometimes when I switch from one screen share to another screen share, it doesn't like it, so I have to close down the screen share and start it over. I want you to hear it because it's pretty funny, actually. And then we're going to have a little Q&A. We're going to say, what do these videos all have in common? But not yet. I don't want any answers yet. I want you to see this video because it's beautiful.
Let me go ahead. I will do the sharing. Tell me if it works.
I got it. No, I got it.
It's too late.
Did you just key a Tesla the other day?
What?
You're on video. Yeah. This is the guy. You just keyed a Tesla. You got a video online. I just saw it. It's all over the fucking face. You have the media.
That's why I was going to cancel that part.
Yes, you did. You keyed a Tesla in a parking lot somewhere around here. What do you got to say about that?
I didn't do that.
That's right. Apologize for the language to our viewers.
Well, you're on video. I said, I plainly saw you doing it. You pulled up right next to it and then you keyed it.
Oh, shit.
You want to bet?
Whatever.
Okay. Well, I mean, they got your license plate. I'm surprised you haven't been contacted by the police yet.
Let him do it.
I mean, what do you have to say? I mean, I saw you do it. I'm just curious. I mean, just because of Elon, you're wearing a USA t-shirt, driving a Korean car. Why would you key an American car? The guy's probably a Democrat that owns it. I think it's a woman. I mean, I'm just curious why you did that. You just don't have anything to say about that? Neither one of you guys do?
Nope.
Okay. You're handicapped too. I mean, this is just kind of ridiculous. Well,
okay.
Good luck to you, sir.
He's proud to be an American.
Good luck to you and your felonies. Now, one more. Here we go.
There's more.
Oh yeah, there is. I don't think there's.
But wait,
sound.
there's more. Oh,
Is that a Tesla? Ah.
Let's watch that.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
yeah. And there he is. That was at the Ontario airport in Ontario, California. All right. I'm just going to give it away. Do you know what they all have in common? These people are just stupid. If you can see the perspective, just take a look at this one more time. Look at the perspective that we're getting this camera shot on. Take a look. Yep. If you guessed the cameras on the Tesla captured the vandalism, you're correct for $500. These things have cameras all the way around them, and they record anytime there's movement in the area.
Yeah.
And so, boom, we got you on tape there, spare tire.
Yeah, I have friends who drive
19 cameras.
They were showing me how they can see their car from their phone.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I'm kind of jealous I don't have that feature. But this is what's fascinating to me about this. These are people, what do they have to gain? They are carrying somebody else's water. They're doing somebody else's deeds They're violently angry and taking it out on other people's vehicles because they're trying to get back at Elon Musk and supporters of Elon Musk. And who benefits by this guy's actions? Like literally the people that are programming this guy to act are the ones who benefit. He doesn't benefit. You break a window, what? You feel better about yourself for a half a second? You hurt somebody else for a half a second? You literally are doing the deed that I'll call them the programmers. I don't know what to call them, the cabal, that they want you to do that doesn't hurt anybody except for the person who owns that car. And I hope, I don't know, John, you said one of them was arrested. I hope they all are arrested.
The last one was arrested too. I
Yes.
do want to show you this. This is pretty interesting. So I found this today online. This is a map. This is a map. This is a map of Tesla owners. And
oh wow.
If you look at that. Those are Tesla dealerships and Tesla owners. And the icon that they use to show you where the Tesla owner is a Molotov cocktail.
Would that be considered an unalive threat?
I would think it's a terrorist threat myself.
Yeah, domestic terrorism.
Why are we outing these people as owners of? Why are we outing these people as owners of Teslas? And it is on a website that calls for mass destruction. Why?
Well,
if you look, there's only 2 in Montana. By the way, I just want you to see that part.
I was going to say I'll bring mine over, but I don't have one yet.
I've seen a few.
But where is, look, I'm sure there's investigations underway because I have faith and confidence in our current leadership, but whoever has this website up needs to be arrested. Like this is not okay.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So that's the thing, is that this whole, and it's being, by the way, you hear people in the, I won't say media, you hear people like the AOCs, like the Elon Omars, all those kind of people talking about how bad he is. If you see someone with a Tesla, make sure you let them know how you feel. And I saw somebody, they're saying that the stock for Tesla is way down right now. Again, it's not going to hurt him a bit. I think when you have $400-something billion, if you only have 300 billion, you don't really feel it that much. But now they're saying that they're going to take down SpaceX next. I'm like, what?
Yeah. For all the people that are unhappy with Elon Musk, you're upset with him because he's uncovering fraud, waste, and abuse. You're upset with him because he's calling out the fact that the government is bloated with people that don't do anything, and maybe we need to thin things out a little bit so that we can, make our country a little more prosperous. But let me ask you a question. What have you done lately? His company just sent a spaceship up to the International Space Station to rescue 2 astronauts that were
No, he did not. He didn't rescue anyone, David. If you talk to Mark Kelly will tell you flat out that that Elon Musk didn't rescue anyone.
You make the Elon Musk comments calling about me? Yeah. Well, obviously he's not a serious guy. He's like a 12-year-old. So I don't take it seriously. I served our country in the Navy for 25 years. When I was 22 years old, I swore an oath to defend the Constitution. I've lived that oath my entire life. I'm not sure if Elon has sworn an oath to anything. If I was to guess, probably to billionaires like himself. You make the Elon Musk.
He actually did. Mark Kelly did come out and say he didn't rescue anyone. They didn't need rescuing. That was part of the mission.
What part of the mission? It was supposed to be
John, I saw another interview after the folks splashed down last night, and he actually said thank you, not to Elon, to SpaceX for bringing our astronauts. So somebody had a little word with him to say, look, buddy, it's a fact. We have the receipts. Biden left these people. They were on a 10-day mission. Can you imagine if you're going anywhere on a trip? I've gone on business trips for 10 days, and you're stuck there for 9 months.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not talking a place where you can just walk down the street and get to the 7-Eleven and get some hot dogs every day for 9 months. These people are in space.
Yeah.
So imagine being up there. That and it's not every day you get supplies. Yes, they did have supplies, they did have food, but I mean,
Yeah, Elon Musk
start to
said on the Joe
wonder,
Rogan.
when am I
he
when am I
did
going
say-
home?
Elon Musk did say on the Joe Rogan show that he offered back in November to bring them home, but the Biden administration didn't want that because he didn't want there to be a victory or a perceived victory for Donald Trump.
Right. So no proceed. So we're gonna abandon these people so that we don't give our political opponent a potential perceived victory. By the way, I'm no expert here. I'm not an expert on a lot of things, but this one in particular. However, I've heard that when you have an extended stay in space because of the different in atmospheric pressure and the whole bit, your bone density is at risk.
Yes.
What's the word? It's like you've come back physically. You need to actually recover from your time. Depending at the longer you are, the longer you have to recover. So that's physically abused these people against that. That wasn't their
right.
They didn't agree to that.
Forget, the female astronaut got sick and she was very concerned for her health up there.
Right.
But politics.
Right.
Politics. Yeah. What did JFK Jr. say again?
Elon
Biden, what was in that letter?
Yeah, he's a traitor. Hey, David, didn't you have a video from The View talking about some of this? Do you want to show us that?
I do. Hold on. This is like, I've got two from The View. Let's play
take both of them, David. Let's not anger our audience.
Oh, come on. It's fun. Okay. The first one, look, let me tee this up. The first one's going to be about Schumer. And, this guy, he doesn't have a career. He's done. But I find it amusing.
Your attitude is, I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, my the land and water that I own, or my employees? They hate government. Government's a barrier to people, a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I built my company from scratch. How dare you take my hello? What the heck have you done? Schumer.
Well, what's he worth?
A lot of millions. I have
Thanks
lost
to
track.
USAID and other ways that they.
All right. So you could argue he's a self-made.
It's never held a. Yeah, these guys have never held real jobs.
Never held a public sector job.
Nope.
All right, let's hear the other one, David.
Okay, hold on. I feel like I'm in middle school when I watch these and laugh. I'm like, this can't be real. These people cannot be real. They're real and they still have jobs. I don't know how, but I'm grateful because they give us content.
But 87% support deporting criminal undocumented migrants.
Well, I don't know anybody in the world. Yeah, I don't know anybody in the world who wants to keep the criminals. I don't know anybody.
That's where we should be focused.
Can I say something? Because, we keep on talking about criminals and immigrants being criminals. And I just want people to understand what the facts are and the stats are, is that undocumented immigrants are much less likely to have committed crimes than American citizens. American citizens commit more crimes than anyone who is undocumented. I also want to make the point that an undocumented immigrant is not a criminal because he or she is undocumented. That is a civil offense. So to call people illegal in and of itself,
is that the
I
talking
think is
point?
xenophobic and racist.
And
I do. And incorrect.
I'm just saying.
Oh, I just lost a couple of brain cells.
She threw it in there. She said, you're racist if you want to deport people that are undocumented. That's a civil crime and you're a racist.
It's a civil crime. Yeah, come on, it's a civil matter. What are you getting all excited about?
Producer Marie's got it on the head
It's a
right
criminal.
here.
Yeah,
See,
Marie, it's illegal.
Here, my take.
They're breaking the law.
Sonny lives in a bubble, like many of us do. Many of us live in bubbles. I didn't grow up in a bubble. I grew up in a place that was definitely not a bubble, but I live in a bubble now, right? I'm in a pretty decent area. The crime is pretty low. The people around me do fairly well for themselves. And so generally speaking, they're not, breaking into each other's house. Like we live in a bubble. When if you ever get outside of that bubble and you go experience some real life with real people and walk in real shoes, you might understand why so many people across this country are excited to see that plane take off with those. I forget how many of the Tren de Aragua people were on that plane, but excited for that and cheering it on.
And MS-13.
And MS-13, yes. Who, by the way, were in my neighborhood when I grew up. I just didn't know any better. Until you get outside your bubble and go walk in those streets and sit at those tables with those families, you will never understand why people are tired of the violence and the hatred and everything else that goes along with it. Which is why, by the way, I know they didn't have this one teed up tonight, but the ratings for the Democratic Party are at an all-time, I guess, historic low. What a shock.
Yeah, they're nearing single digits. I think I read 17%.
What a shock that so many people are like, we're done with the party, because the people who live in a bubble don't understand it, but everybody else who's not in a bubble gets it. I'm off my
Speaking of parties, and this is the worst transition you'll ever get. Dave, can you read this headline for us and then we can talk through it a little bit?
Oh, I'd love to. I love reading headlines. Breaking. India raids Soros-backed offices linked to the Open Society foundations in Karnataka. Okay, I'm sure I butchered that. Karnataka. It's in India.
Can you read that or no?
Yeah, the Indian government raided George Soros-backed offices in Bengaluru on Tuesday. The Enforcement Directorate raided 8 Soros-backed offices linked to the Open Society Foundation, the OSF, an organization backed by U.S. billionaire. He is not U.S. billionaire.
Become a U.S. billionaire.
This guy is a nomad, and he's banned in several countries, by the way.
He is a known National Socialist.
He's a known National Socialist, and I think it's 8 countries he's actually banned, not allowed to enter. Right. Okay, so I'm going to cross out the U.S. part and just keep reading. Billionaire George Soros, along with some linked entities in Bengaluru. This action stems from allegations of violations under Foreign Exchange Management Act, FIBA, highlighting the government's commitment to curbing foreign interference. Wait, what? Curbing foreign interference in domestic affairs? Investigations revealed that between 2020, 21, and 23 and 24, approximately, I can't tell if that's 225 $2 million in US terms was funneled from Soros's organizations to various Indian NGOs through complex financial arrangements, which is exactly what is happening in the United States.
Exactly. So it's just, those of us that have been frustrated and saying nothing's happening, things are starting to happen. Starting to happen. If they raided those offices and they can tie that money back to George Soros, which apparently they already have because it is from the Open Society Foundation, then they can go after him. Now, if India gets him first, well, okay, I'm good.
And so here's what has to happen is they will say, we want him to come and stand trial. And then somebody has to say, okay, we're going to extradite him. If we have to have an extradition treaty, we need to say, okay, we're going to bring him to you. And that's the part that is unlikely to happen. I think that's my take.
Eventually, George Soros will stand to account, whether it's India, whether it's Russia, whether it's America, he will stand to account.
I will bet that it's his son who ends up being the one who stands account. I think George doesn't make it he's old enough and he's at that stage of his life, but his son who's walking in his footsteps, I think he is going to step right into it.
They both need to. Yeah. Breaking news from Marie. 6 of the gang members who left this weekend were arrested in Montana.
What?
Turn that plane around. Absolutely not.
No. It's great. There's other news articles too. And again, I didn't flesh these out to see like how true these are, but other countries, the people, not the government, the people are saying, hey, can we do more of what the US is doing? And you're talking about the people who live in France and the UK and Germany who are saying, and Turkey, by the way, which is really odd. We need this element of people that are here that have come in and invaded is the word they're using, not my word, their word, invaded our country. They need to go because our lives are at risk. I don't know. It's a growing trend.
Okay. Well, in other news, apparently, not apparently, we have photographic evidence that Michelle Obama has a new hairstyle.
What? No.
What in that?
All right. Okay. Okay.
There you go. Breaking
is,
not making fun at all. We're just pointing out the news because,
and she's got a podcast also.
That is flopping.
So cool.
It's flopping horrendously.
No, come on. I got to watch at least one. Hey, Newsom had, I should have had that.
Charlie Kirk. Yeah.
No, he had Charlie Kirk, but he also, oh my God, Walls. He had,
Tim Walz. Yeah.
But he had Walls on. Walls like, I could have kicked his butt. He knows it. I don't think it's going to come to an MMA situation, but I could have handled it.
David, all I kept thinking was Dave Chappelle's show when he had Rick James and he said, cocaine is a hell of a drug. That's all I kept thinking when I kept watching Newsom with his. I'm like, wow, dude, don't do the lines before the show. Wait till after it.
So I'm going to ask our audience a deep request here. Please do not give Gavin Newsom any views of that show. If you want to watch clips, someone else will put them out there, but do not give him the ratings. The guy is a scumbag and he's trying to make his way to become the next president. And this is where he's going to flush out his message and get people to say, oh, that's wonderful. Oh, there he is. Oh man, I had all these people saying bad things. I don't think they'll make that voice, but hey,
I still give him credit for doing it because it's a gutsy thing and he's having people on his show that, except for Walls, most of them are not people that agree with him. So I give him credit for that. Doesn't mean he doesn't continue to lie. And I think he'd be a horrible excuse for president, but I think it's what he's doing is smartest thing anybody else in the Democratic Party is doing right now.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about and not really go into any depth in this and all, but I heard an interesting analysis of the auto pen. So that's going to go to, that's going to go to the courts. There's going to be something that comes out of that. It will end up in the courts. You saw that Donald Trump came out with his very strongly worded statement saying that all of those are null and void. And they've all been vacated. Every action that was done with an auto pen has been null and void and vacated. It's immediately been challenged by the courts or in the courts. It's going to come out somewhere along the way. I would guess it makes it all the way to the Supreme Court. And I think that the argument is that the commander-in-chief must be in full control of his faculties and his pen, if that makes sense. So you cannot have an auto pen signing for a policy document. Now, here's the other side of that. Have you noticed how every time Donald Trump signs something, he makes a big deal out of it? I think it's the contrast. He's showing such a great difference between auto pen and Donald pen.
Well, not only is he signing it, you see how long it takes him to sign his signature?
There's a lot of letters. Donald J. Trump.
There's a lot of letters, and he's getting every single one of them. Like it's a work of art when he's done. I'm embarrassed now about how I sign things. This guy is like, my signature matters. And you're gonna see me. The camera's gonna get this for the next 20 seconds while I get all the letters out.
I think it's great. Donald Trump has his own brand of Sharpie, the thing's big old fat Sharpie. And anyway, I think that's interesting. The contrast that Donald Trump is indeed making a big deal out of showing that he is signing them, as opposed to, the auto pen. And I think that's part of, again, we talk about all the time, his messaging.
Yeah, I think you're right. Right. This is what you do when you're commander chief. When you're the president and you're signing an executive order for your branch, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
You don't wake up from your nap at the beach and find out that you signed a few executive orders today and what they are, and then given a few sound bites to mumble when they put you in front of a camera for 30 seconds reading the teleprompter until you need a break because your diaper's full. Sorry, I was on a rant again.
You went there. Hey, listen, last week we
I love it,
about,
David. I love that. I love that
last
passion.
week we
Take
showed
Oval
you,
Office.
Sorry, John.
last week we showed you Ghost in the Machine. Lots of questions about that, lots of little Easter eggs in there, lots of hints in there. Today we're going to show you, as promised, Ghost in the Machine Part 2, more Easter eggs.
Oh, all right.
Oh, good.
There are many people in the world who really don't understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in. Freedom is indivisible. And when one man is enslaved, all are not free.
Modern war has become a struggle for men's minds as well as for their bodies. Today we face an enemy who spends enormous sums of money and manpower all over the globe in an attempt to subvert the thinking of the people of the free world, confuse, divide, and ultimately to subjugate.
It is a contest unlike any we have ever faced in our history as a nation.
Contest for the minds and hearts of people around the world, all people.
When power corrupts, poetry cleanses. We must never forget that art is not a form of propaganda. It is a form of truth.
Psychologists find that control of emotions can be gained by understanding the stimulus-response pattern. Many everyday things become associated with these primary stimuli, partly by a process called conditioning.
It's a strange, shadowy world. The doctored photograph, the misquotation, the insinuation, and the lie.
I think of fire in connection with emotion. Cause, effect.
You've got to get a hold of yourself.
We have to work together. You'll have to help.
We'll light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world.
Yes, in modern warfare, our military leaders are finding that words and ideas are highly effective weapons.
Well,
no question. I'm going to have to watch that at least 3 more times. There's a lot going on in that little short clip.
yeah, the thing that I noticed was that the number 11 came up many times. If you look at the date on the watch, it was 11 many times. And then they show as they're going through this maze of what looked like junk, but there was a Roman numeral 11 in the corner there. And I just wonder what that 11 is all about. That was the one that struck me. I don't know. Anybody else?
I have to watch it again. And I'm going to have to watch it a couple of times. And then we'll spend maybe 5 minutes on it on Sunday, but there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
That's a weak answer.
John, I was expecting for you to snap your fingers and go, okay, now stand up.
Right.
You are a rooster.
Are you tricking us?
When I use the code word lampshade, you will jump up and down like a rooster.
Yeah, I can put that. I have to find it, but I can put that in the show link here too if someone wants that.
Yeah.
Usually, producer Marie likes to see those things, so I'll pull that up real quick.
Good. Between me and Marie, we're breaking that thing down. I didn't even see the number 11. I was so busy, like, I wonder what that means. I wonder what that means. All right, I'll be watching it again.
Please do.
That's good, John. I like it. Is there a part 3? That was only 2 parts, right?
There isn't a part 3 that I've seen, but there is another video out by PSYOP, so by the 4th PSYOP group. There's that video for 2, so you guys can have that. Have fun with it. Let's see what happens. That's about all I got. How about you guys? Anything else?
You had a couple more things. I'm not sure if you want to.
You guys are talking over each other.
L.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
You have a couple of more clips. Do you want me? Is there anything in here you want me to? Or do you want Scott to play?
Yeah, can we get Scott to play Money Machine number 11?
Money. Oh, did we not talk about the Money Machine? I don't think we did.
There's a lot of detail there.
Wait, hold on. This is a good one too.
It's a very short video. It's like 1 minute and 10 seconds, but I think it'll be very interesting. Actually, 1 minute and 14 seconds, and I'll tee it up. So Doge and Elon, in their quest to find fraud, waste, and abuse, have found magic money computers.
See, this is why I should have been part of Doge. We would have found 13 magic computers. How many did he find? He found 14, right? Okay, I'm going to play it. Here we go.
One of the things you told me about is what you call magic money computers at the Treasury. So tell us about it, because I never heard of that until you brought that up.
Okay, so you may think that the government computers like all talk to each other, they synchronize, they add up what funds are going somewhere, and it's it's coherent. That there's and that the numbers, for example, that you're presented as a senator, are actually the real numbers.
One would think.
They're not.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not totally wrong, but they're probably off by 5% or 10% in some cases. So I call a magic money computer any computer which can just make money out of thin air. That's magic money.
So how does that work?
It just issues payments.
And you said there's something like 11 of these computers at Treasury that are sending out trillions in payments?
They're mostly at Treasury. Some are, but there's some at HHS, some there's one or two at state. There's some at DOD. I think we found now 14 magic money computers.
14, okay.
They just send money out of nothing.
One of the things.
See, number one, if I could replay that, we found 13 of magic money computers that make money out of thin air. We didn't find 14.
And the 14th was all sending stuff to David.
No, these nonprofit organizations that are
the son of David NGO.
Maybe, yeah. I'll come up with a more creative.
So
name
to me,
for
this is scary, right? That we have 14 machines that all they do is send out money,
payments.
Right? It's payments. And then of course John just played that video clip, and I'm like, okay, who's behind the scenes setting these things up to just print money, right? Is it a nefarious organization within our government? I mean, we've only found the fraud, we've only found the waste, but who set all this up? That's what I want to know.
So we've
I don't know
talked
if we'll
before,
ever find out, but it would be
in a previous show. We talked about how During the 2008 crisis and the too big to fail, Congress asked for $800 billion to bail out everybody. And that was rejected. So they came back with $816 billion. That was passed. And then the Fed ended up giving out, the Fed makes it sound very official. Fed gave out like $2.7 trillion. The only thing that was authorized let's go back to civics class for 1 second. Who authorizes payment? Congress, right?
Right.
And they're the only ones who can authorize spending, and yet they authorized $816. The Fed gave out $2.7 trillion. I don't know. Seems a little fishy to me.
Magic money machine. Okay, here's the other piece about this clip. That's the other piece about this clip. Elon, he just laughs like, yeah, we found him. He's laughing, and it's like, oh, it's just so bad. It's so sad. Like, you find this stuff and you can't believe it. It's surreal. And if you weren't laughing, you'd be bawling. Yeah. Anyways, good clip.
A great clip. But the other thing I want to point out here is this goes back into the coordinated narrative that Elon Musk is unelected bureaucrat stealing from you and me. And Donald Trump is a convicted felon who thinks he's above the law. This is the coordinated narrative, and everything that you're going to see and hear in opposition will have those two things in common.
Yeah, above the law. No one's above the law. Great. I'm looking forward to seeing some people being held accountable.
Well, and just before you jump this in, because this is a great piece too, but before you jump this in, remember Elon Musk is a billionaire, and they're trying to make the case that he is a con man who stole that money from everybody, and he's found another way to steal money from you, because 400 billion, being the richest man in the world, is not enough. This is who they are. This goes back to their only playbook, which is class warfare.
Right.
He's stealing. He's giving money to his billionaire friends and taking it from poor mom and dad. By the way, what's the percentage of people that don't pay any taxes in the U.S. at all?
Oh, it's close to 60%. Maybe it's 50%. It's half of the people. Which, by the way, is why when it's called out that Trump's plan, what he's talking about is eliminating federal income taxes for anyone earning less than $150,000 a year. Really, that's the number. It's a big number because it's still a lot of people, but you're talking about what 800, 900 billion dollars. It's a lot of money. But if you can reduce the size of government and find other income sources, and suddenly you don't need $7 or $8 trillion to run the government. Now you can say, look, you're making under 150,000 a year. We don't need to tax you.
Right.
Keep your money, go spend it, raise your family.
Tariffs, baby, tariffs. Speaking of, I just wanted to add one more line, John, to what David just said.
Yeah.
Go ahead, El. You're on.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Finish so my point there was, I watched Powell speak today, the Fed.
Yeah.
The Fed. And boy, he was asked a lot of questions, and he basically said, no, the tariffs are not having an impact on our deficit. So everybody in the media wanted to say that the president is crazy, the tariffs are going to destroy our economy. And he basically said, no, it doesn't. From the 2 months that they have been in place, we are not seeing tariffs actually have an impact. Matter of fact, we'll probably look at this later in the year, but you got to realize that tariffs they're bringing in income. So if something is costing more, right, like a luxury item like a Mercedes, and somebody says, you know what, I'm not going to buy a German car, I'm going to go buy a Toyota. Toyotas are made in America. I know it's a Japanese brand, but that's an American car made with a Japanese brand. Those folks are not going to pay a tariff, right? So the pricing of the things that are being tariffed are not really going to impact at scale the American public, which is what the news is trying to say it will. And here's Powell saying on today's press conference, yeah, we've been looking at this for 2 months, and we really don't see tariffs impacting our economy in a negative way. And for him to say that,
yeah,
brilliant.
There's a few other factors too, and yes, we'll talk about this. We'll do the financial segment at some point, but there's a few other factors, right? So fuel prices are coming down. Some food groups, some food prices are coming down, including our beloved eggs, and interest rates, believe it or not, are stubbornly not going up. They're actually coming down too. And one would say, well, the Fed controls the interest rates. No, they don't. They control one of the short-term interest rates. They do not control the 10-year, the 30. They don't control the long-term. So when interest rates come down, fuel costs come down, and food costs start to come down, then all of a sudden the impact of the tariff starts to even out. And that's been the argument that's been made by economists who say, actually, the tariffs probably aren't going to impact us as much as you think in the US. But that's not true for countries that import a lot from the US if they put tariffs on those goods, which this is going to have a pretty big impact on Canada and Mexico if it continues with Mexico. But what did you want to say about GDP? Something about Canada in red. I'm not sure, but I think that's what you're going to point to, right?
Right. Yeah. So I feel really bad for our Canadian cousins up north. I mean, they're hurting, right? And of course, the tariffs won't help them any. Their government is in shambles, and they're actually charging people a carbon tax. I mean, these are facts. I don't want to bore people, but their economy is really not that great. And it doesn't look like it's going to continue to get any better anytime soon with the people they just elected for their government. So it's sad. I feel bad for a lot of our neighbors to the north of us that I don't care for their government, but the people there are hurting. And you can look at this. This is just a snapshot of the last 10 years of GDP growth. It's really for them. Their economy's in the tank.
I do have one piece of good news. Now, as of, I think it was the 14th, their new prime minister actually did away with assessing the consumer carbon tax at the federal level, at least. Now, you could still have to pay it by your province, but at least at the federal level, which good, because I work with some amazing people that are up in Canada, and they would tell you, like, they're just taxed to death. And it's crushing what they have to pay. Not just your income tax and your state, what we would consider a state tax, but the value added tax, like you just taxed to death in Canada. Not surprising that the GDP per capita is tough. Not surprised. Well,
and what
thank
you're
you
not
for bringing
hearing is
that.
a lot of the wealthy in Canada are moving here. Sorry, David, go.
No, I was going to say there are some people that are escaping the fascist US and moving to Canada also. So, or Ireland.
Rosie,
only Rosie O'Donnell.
Yep. All right, fellas. I think it's time we wrap it up for the night. I know that Sunday is going to be a pretty good show. On Sunday, we have more details, I'm sure, about the JFK files. There are a lot of things on the books right now about ready to pop in the next couple of days. I would just keep your eyes open. If something happens really big, we will go live with it. There is something I'm expecting to see. Don't want to drop it in case it doesn't happen. But Sunday, we will have another banger of a show. And then, of course, next Wednesday is episode number 100. I've already lined up a couple guests. We have our friend Mike, who was with us on one of our first episodes, right, Dave? Wasn't he? Gosh, he must have been on episode 3 or 4.
Time ago, yeah.
We've got my neighbor Mike. Mike's going to come join us again. We may have Mrs. John come back and talk to us again. She was on the show a couple times. And I have a couple other possible guests lined up, so we're going to see how that goes. But should be a really fun evening for us. And of course, the long-awaited glitch. We're going to. Oh, by the way, speaking of glitch, did you see that Senator Glitch did it again?
Yeah, my hearing's not as good as it used to be. No,
Yeah.
it's not, because you should have retired a long time ago. Yeah, I
So
did.
anyway, lots of fun stuff coming your way, but I'm looking forward to episode number 100. However, that doesn't happen, of course, before we have episode 99, and that's going to be this Sunday night on our normal time, 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and you do the rest of the math.
Carry the one.
Carry the one.
Carry the one.
On that note, we'll say goodnight.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody,
Thank you,
for coming and
everybody.
being on board. We love you. See us again soon.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again? The sweet emotion raining all over me.
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Making black new.